Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Star Wars Library, where Star Wars is in print. And today we're going to be talking about a couple of different little stories here today. The first thing that we're going to start off with is a comic book from 1995. It's the second of the Jabba the Hutt comics, and it's called Jabba the Hutt and the Hunger of Princess Nampi. And so I have it collected here in Wild Space Volume 2. And then this is the cover of it right here. So basically, it picks up from where we left off with the first Jabba the Hutt comic, and and it's basically uh, leaving Gar from last issue, and uh, and basically he's captured, or Jabba's captured by a slug princess Nampi, and so Jabba's second in command basically tries to get with her to survive, and Nampi will kill him. Now, of course, this is not Bib Fortuna, but Jabba says, "Ha ha! I put a bomb in him, and you ate him," because that's what she does. She eats him, and she's like, "Oh crap!" and then blows up, and so it's funny. I mean, the comics, they're kind of like the later Child's Play movies. Like, like the first one. I mean, the first one tried to be legit horror, I guess. But then they just started getting silly with how Chucky was killing people, and that's how these feel. Just like, ha, you ate him, and then boom. It's to me, it's funny. Um, so they're fun. I mean, again, are these essential to your reading? No, but it's cool. Again, you learn more about Jabba the Hutt, right? So that's kind of the reason why you would want to do it. So now we get to talk about stories that are collected in a novel, I guess, and it's our first Tales of story, and it's the Tales of the Mos Eisley Cantina, edited by Kevin J. Anderson. This too was in 1995. And so basically what this was is it was 16 different short stories from many different Star Wars authors, some really well-known ones, like Kevin J. Anderson, obviously. I think Timothy Zahn, yep. Tom Veitch was in here. A.C. Crispin, Kenneth C. Flint, Barbara Hambly. I mean, so many different people wrote stories for this. And it's all about some of the characters that we saw in the Mos Eisley Cantina in A New Hope. Basically, it's kind of their story. And so it's really cool, to kind of go revisit the film once you read this. So I want to go through some today. We're going to have to go through, we're not going to get through all of them. We're going to have to go through the rest in another video. But I did want to go ahead and get started on this. So the first one is called A Hunter's Fate. And it's Greedo's tale. And it's basically the backstory of Greedo. It's leading up to him getting shot up by Han Solo in A New Hope. That was by Tom and Martha Veitch, which I'm like, that's cool that Martha Veitch got to do that with her husband. The next one is by Kathy Tyers, called We Don't Do Weddings, and I love this one. This one is about the Cantina band and the, what are they called? I wrote it down here. The Maglinolds. And this, that's right. I also made this note too. This also introduced the infamous style of music that this band plays. It's called Jizz. Yep. Angry Video Nerd, or Video Game Nerd, I remember I saw a video of him where he's like looking through the Star Wars encyclopedia and he sees that and he reacts to it, and it's pretty silly. But it's, I mean, I knew that couldn't have been the intention of the authors, but that was by Kathy Tyers. But yeah, that was that's the style of music there. When the Desert Wind Turns is the next one, by Doug Bisson. David Felt's journey from cadet to his mission to find the droids. This was the stormtrooper who is like, "Look, sir, droids," and this one was really cool. It's basically his journey to becoming a stormtrooper, and then his mission to go to Tatooine and find R2 and 3PO. It was a pretty cool story. I remember liking that one a lot too. Hammer Tong by Timothy Zahn is two minstrel shadow guards are posing as the Tonica sisters, and it's kind of their story. It's kind of the weird ones where they're I don't know if they're on the cover here, but it's like those ones who are They look like dudes, but they're dressed as girls, and they're smoking the cigarettes and or whatever it is, death stick. I don't know, but it's their backstory. So that one was okay. AC Crispin did Play It Again, Figuring Dan, and Moftak and Cabe, I don't know how you pronounce it, are the mains here, and they're basically there to help the rebellion in any way they can. Um, Again, not a bad story. It's AC Crispin, so it's written really well. But again, all of these are just solid reads to me. There's really nothing here where I'm like, oh, like this is boring, and this is, what's the point of this? So I mean, it's a good read. Um, but but yeah, in the beginning too of each chapter, they actually show the characters, so you can be like, oh yeah, that was so and so from the movie. The next one, Dave Wolverton. Yes, Dave Wolverton did one. The Sand Tender. Hammerhead, the Ithorin, who is, I believe, right here. He is he makes a bad deal with the Empire and is on the run, and so he's hiding out in the Mos Eisley Cantina, and so it's like, oh, that's cool. Again, it's just, I love how they're explaining why these strange cats are where they are at that point in time. It's such a cool thing. Uh, let's see. David Bischoff wrote "Be Still My Heart" and The Bartender's Tale, and it's the bartender, and he's basically finding a dead body, and he's like, "Ooh, I could use that to make a good drink for Jabba the Hutt," and so it's kind of cool giving him. I remember him seeing him in the movie. I'm like, oh, he's a grumpy old man. Who cares? And then seeing him in like the Lego games, but Star Wars games. But I'm like, oh, okay. And again, I read this very very late. But because my thing was is like, especially as like a kid and a teenager, I'm like, I don't care about these minor characters. Who cares? I want, the main characters from the movie. I want the main characters in the EU. I don't care about these guys. But again, these authors make you care, and that's all I can ask for. It's such a cool thing. So I'm going to hold off on kind of doing my final thoughts on this book until we do the final part, because we've still got more stories to go. But honestly, though, the stories that I've talked about so far, they're not essential, but they definitely are a lot of fun, and they're good reads. There's really not a story in here that I dislike. So but again, we'll get into more of that a little bit later. So thank you folks for tuning in, and I will see you next time with another episode of the Star Wars Library.